What if the most perfect ending in Marvel history was actually the beginning of total destruction? What if Steve Rogers saving himself doomed everyone else? That shocking idea is exactly where Avengers Doomsday begins, tearing apart the emotional victory of Endgame and forcing us to rewatch that final scene with completely new, terrifying meaning today. The leaked Avengers Doomsday teaser doesn't explode with action or portals. Instead, it whispers danger through peace. The footage opens exactly where Endgame left us, with Steve Rogers riding a motorcycle toward a quiet farmhouse, visually echoing his final moments with Peggy Carter while a soft piano version of the Avengers theme plays underneath. Inside the house, Steve is shown living a simple domestic life, far removed from shields and wars. He looks older, calmer, almost relieved. The camera lingers on familiar objects, including the Captain America uniform and helmet folded carefully away, visually mirroring Endgame's bench scene where Steve finally chose rest over responsibility. But the teaser doesn't let comfort last. Steve pauses while staring at the suit, his expression carrying regret rather than peace. This directly reframes Endgame's ending, suggesting that his choice wasn't closure but denial. The uniform isn't retired heroism. It's evidence of abandoned duty, quietly accusing him from the shadows of his perfect life. Then comes the moment that changed everything. Steve Rogers is shown holding a newborn baby, cradling the child with visible pride and fear. This single image detonated the fandom because it confirms something Marvel never showed us before. Steve didn't just live in the past, he created a future that was never meant to exist. The text appears on screen like a verdict rather than a promise. Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday. No heroic music swell, no triumphant pose. Just a countdown clock ticking toward release, implying that time itself is now the enemy. The message is clear: Steve's return isn't salvation, it's consequence. Speculation about the child's identity immediately exploded. Some theories suggest James Rogers, a character from Marvel Animation, while others point to Ian Rogers from the comics, or even a new interpretation of Sharon Rogers. Regardless of the name, the child represents something far more dangerous than lineage, a living paradox born from forbidden time. Avengers Doomsday reportedly reframes Endgame's time travel rules in brutal fashion. While the Avengers believed branching timelines prevented damage, Steve's decision to stay created a sustained deviation. He wasn't visiting the past, he was occupying it. That long-term presence transformed a harmless branch into a growing temporal fracture across realities. In Loki, Marvel introduced the concept of nexus events, moments where choices destabilized the sacred timeline. Steve Rogers became one without knowing it. By aging naturally in a world where he was meant to be frozen, Steve rewrote probability itself. Every birthday, every shared moment pushed the universe further off balance. The baby is not just a child, it's proof of an unauthorized reality continuing forward. According to leaks, Avengers Doomsday treats this infant as a multiversal breach, an impossible variable the universe cannot correct. Steve didn't just steal happiness. He created an anchor that prevents timelines from naturally collapsing back into order. This is why Doomsday reportedly mirrors the structure of Captain America: Civil War. That film asked whether personal loyalty outweighed global safety. Doomsday escalates that question to infinity. Steve Rogers is forced to choose between protecting his family or allowing the multiverse to survive without him in it. Here, Steve becomes patient zero. Not a villain, not a savior, but the origin point of collapse. Entire universes are said to be destabilizing because of similar choices made by heroes, but Steve's is the oldest and deepest wound. His moral authority becomes the central argument tearing the Avengers apart again. Enter Dr. Doom, portrayed by Robert Downey Jr., in the most unsettling casting twist Marvel has ever attempted. This isn't a joke or a cameo. Doom is reportedly introduced as a multiversal architect, a man who has watched realities die and refuses to let emotional weakness destroy what remains of existence. Doom is said to originate from Earth 828, the same universe as the Fantastic Four First Steps. That connection matters because leaks suggest Doom lost his world to an incursion similar to the one Steve unknowingly caused. To Doom, Rogers isn't a hero. He's a selfish anomaly whose happiness cost trillions of lives. A mid-credits scene in Fantastic Four First Steps reportedly shows Doom visiting a young Franklin Richards. The implication is chilling. Franklin's reality-warping abilities may be the only force capable of repairing or restructuring the multiverse. Doom doesn't see a child. He sees a tool to rebuild reality on his terms. Some leaks describe a separate Doomsday teaser focused entirely on Doom. The footage allegedly shows him approaching Steve Rogers' farmhouse door, his presence silent and suffocating. No explosions, no speeches, just inevitability. Doom doesn't threaten Steve. He audits him, like a cosmic inspector ready to condemn an unsafe structure. That analogy perfectly fits Marvel's new narrative direction. Steve built an unpermitted addition onto reality to finally feel whole. But that addition cracked the foundation of the multiverse. Doom arrives not out of cruelty, but obligation. From his perspective, Steve's family is a structural flaw that must be removed. Marvel's marketing strategy reinforces this fragmented storytelling. Instead of one definitive trailer, Avengers Doomsday reportedly has 4 rotating teasers shown before Avatar: Fire and Ash. Each teaser reveals different characters and perspectives, forcing fans to piece together the truth like a broken timeline scattered across theaters. One of these teasers reportedly confirms the return of Thor, played by Chris Hemsworth, alongside his adoptive daughter Love. This parallel is deliberate. Thor chose family after loss, just like Steve. Doomsday positions them on opposite sides of the argument, asking whether gods and legends deserve personal peace. The Russo brothers fueled speculation further by posting a cryptic image captioned, "Look hard." Fans quickly identified hidden shapes forming an A, an X, and a 4, signaling Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. This confirms Doomsday isn't just a sequel, it's the first true convergence of Marvel's entire multiverse. Avengers Doomsday is reportedly designed as the bridge between Endgame and Secret Wars. Where Endgame celebrated closure, Doomsday dismantles it. Where Endgame ended with hope, Doomsday begins with regret. It forces audiences to confront an uncomfortable truth: happy endings don't exist when time itself keeps score. The most painful part of this story is that Steve Rogers never intended harm. His choice was human, understandable, and earned through suffering. That's why Doomsday hits harder than any villain invasion. The destruction comes not from hatred, but from love allowed to exist where it never should have. Marvel has always thrived on consequence, and Doomsday appears to be the ultimate consequence story. Every sacrifice, every shortcut, every rule bent since Phase 4 converges here. Steve's mistake becomes the lens through which the MCU judges itself, questioning whether heroes have the right to choose themselves. Visually, the callbacks to Endgame are weaponized. The bench, the shield, the quiet house, all once symbols of peace, now feel ominous. Marvel isn't erasing Endgame. It's challenging us to rewatch it with guilt. The victory lap becomes a ticking time bomb hiding behind a smile. Dr. Doom's role as antagonist is especially compelling because he may be right. That's the most dangerous kind of villain. He isn't trying to rule the multiverse. He's trying to stabilize it. His conflict with Steve isn't about power, it's about responsibility on a scale beyond emotion. By positioning Steve Rogers at the center of collapse, Marvel dismantles the myth of the flawless hero. Doomsday isn't about nostalgia, it's about accountability. The shield doesn't protect Steve anymore. It reflects the damage caused by believing one good man's happiness outweighs infinite lives elsewhere. The countdown clock at the end of the teaser isn't just marketing flair, it's narrative symbolism. Time is running out, not for the heroes, but for the lies they've told themselves since Endgame. The multiverse doesn't care about intentions. It only responds to imbalance, and Steve created one. Avengers Doomsday arrives on December 18, 2026, positioned as a direct sequel to Endgame and a prelude to Secret Wars. But emotionally, it feels like a trial, a reckoning, a final examination of everything the MCU has stood for since Iron Man first escaped that cave. If this story delivers on its promise, Avengers Doomsday could redefine heroism itself, not through sacrifice alone, but through acceptance of guilt. Steve Rogers may have saved the universe countless times, but this time, saving it might require him to lose the one thing he ever chose for himself. And that's what makes this teaser so devastating. It doesn't hype battles, it haunts you with consequences. If you want deeper breakdowns, hidden connections, and fearless Marvel theories like this, make sure to subscribe to FilmVerse Hollywood, like this video, and stay ready because Doomsday is coming.